Welcome to the Innovation Best Practices episodes, where I try to make sure every episode is designed to help you sell more and make more, where these best practices are designed to help virtually any business with any business need. I want to give a special welcome to listeners around the world. There's at least listeners in 80 countries. So welcome. Good to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about innovation at Pixar. A little bit of background. I think most of us know the name of the company. It's been around for a short period of time, but has made a big impression, and justifiably so. Pixar movies have won 15 Academy Awards. Their 14 feature films have averaged a worldwide gross of $600 million per film. All of their 14 films, all but one have made the list of the top 50 highest grossing animated movies. So are they successful? You bet your life they are. Are they innovative? Innovation could have been the name of the company when they started. Okay. So what makes Pixar so innovative? Well, a key component is deep collaboration, which we're going to do a dive into here, and productive, highly disciplined feedback is also a critical success factor. And we're going to dive especially into the subject of feedback, so critical to the innovation process. And Pixar truly understands how to make a feedback system work. Okay? So, a starting point for them is their recognition that all ideas are like ugly babies. Not sure there was an ugly baby, but there certainly are. And if you're listening to this as a video cast, I've found a picture out there that certainly is not the most attractive baby. So ideas start as ugly babies, but babies nonetheless. Ideas are awkward in the beginning, unformed, vulnerable for sure, and incomplete. We need to understand this in the innovation business. They're fragile, they're awkward, they're vulnerable. But all of these things, while they describe the early on ideas that you have, can turn into robust, award-winning ideas if you handle them right. And we need to be reminded in the innovation business repeatedly that ugly can morph into beautiful. Okay? Pixar founder Ed Catmull says, and I quote, "Originality is fragile. The world is often unkind to new talent and new creations. The new needs friends. Our job is to protect our babies from being judged too quickly. Our job is to protect the new." Close quote. Any of you that are anywheres around the innovation business, please take these words to heart. Originality is fragile. The world is often unkind to new talent and new creations. It needs friends. We need to protect these ideas in the early stages from being judged too quickly. It's not to say that we go forever without judging them. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to first figure out what can the idea be. And our job is to protect the new. Well said, Ed. So, constructive feedback. It requires candor, trust, and empathy. All of them. Dueling creativities are a rush to judgment on the one hand and excessive positivity on the other hand. Sometimes in the innovation business, and the need to be politically correct, and having heard these words about fragile and vulnerable and everything, sometimes people say, well, I'm going to be excessively positive in the early stage. That can hurt an idea as much as a rush to judgment. Okay? What you need is feedback. And feedback is about critical, early on, face the tough truths, and very importantly, make it better. In fact, ultimately make it the best that it can be before you engage judgment. And when you make it as good as it can be, in my experience in the innovation world, I've had lots of times where I've enthusiastically built something into the very best that it can be, and then kind of step back and go, well, if that's the best it can be, it's not good enough. And just let it come tumbling down. So there is a time for judgment, but it's not early on. Here's the feedback that works attitude at Pixar. Share thoughts as if it were your project. Okay? You got to be a little bit careful with that because you don't want to be overly defensive. But when it's your project, you're interested in making it better. Now, when you're an outsider and it's not your project, sometimes you can jump into judgmental mode entirely too quickly. So recognize the relationship that's going on here and realize that feedback is not judgment. It can be objective observations intended to make something a success. Feedback is, I really love A, but the B component of this I think could be far stronger if we did C. Judgment is, I don't like this. It doesn't work. And it's never going to work. Who was the dummy that came up with this idea? Something like that. Okay. So feedback is not judgment. The paradox is that in the beginning, you want to cast a very wide net to collect ideas. And the best ideas can come from anywhere and are often the combination of two or more ideas. So in the beginning of something, you really want to go searching far and wide for ideas and include a whole bunch of people in it in the process. We've talked about this in quantum idea generation. Internal, external, facilitators, all that sort of stuff. Diversity is critical to developing the big ideas. But once you have an idea, the number of people involved in this drops dramatically. You want a core group, in the case of Pixar, talented designers, not masses of people working on something. Okay? So remember this. And this can be tough in an organization because when you run a quantum idea generation session to develop ideas, people kind of start feeling ownership and hope they can be involved. But that's not the case. Not everyone can be involved when an idea goes from the idea generating stage into the very early development stages. So a lot of people in the beginning, but then a core group of people to carry it forward. Pixar's Brain Trust, which is a small group of the most talented directors and producers, provide feedback on films currently under development. Okay? That's the small group. People that have been there, have seen the Toy Stories and all that sort of stuff. They kind of know what works. And so they are the people that Pixar looks to as they call their Brain Trust. This information is taken from a Forbes article, and the article's author says, and I quote, "Often feedback sessions are seen as a chance for people to give their input. Nothing could be further from the truth. The purpose of creative feedback is to move the project forward. Make it better, as I said. Anything that does not fulfill that purpose, no matter who it comes from, has no place in a feedback session." Again, the purpose of feedback is to move a project forward, to make it better. Okay? So it's not just any input. It's input that's going to help make something better and move a project forward. So feedback needs to be information and thinking that will make a project more successful. Now, there is a time when decisions need to be made on a project. Not every ugly baby turns out and becomes beautiful. They can stay ugly for their whole life, and at some point you need to say, no, this one isn't willing. We're not willing to carry this one any further. At Pixar, the decision to end a project is not a creative decision. It's an executive management decision. This is ultimately a business decision. Okay? And this can be tough for people in the creative part of any organization because they get very identified, very attached to it, and their objectivity is not terribly great. They're understanding that this is ultimately a business that needs to deliver money so that they can pay the great designers. And that becomes an executive management decision at Pixar. So this is all a very interesting process. Some concluding thoughts that I'll share with you. I love the focus on purposeful feedback. They're very, very good at it. And feedback they will tell you is one of the keys to their success. And it's not something, I think many of you listening to this, you say, well, of course. Well, not of course, because I'll tell you, I've been in this innovation business for a long, long time. And when I first came on to this Secret to Pixar's Success, I went, this may sound commonplace and subtle, but it isn't. This is really, really critical stuff. If you really understand, it's feedback and not judgment. And feedback is designed to make something better. Okay? I love the casting of a wide net for ideas and then having a small group responsible for developing the best ideas into a finished product. In this case, a finished animated movie. So, a lot to like with what Pixar is doing here. So, for any of you that are directly or indirectly involved in innovation in your life and your business, please keep these thoughts in mind, because quite frankly, there's a huge difference between feedback, as I've cast it here, and judgment. And all too often, people engage in judgment, not feedback. And for those fragile, vulnerable ideas in the early stages, that can be highly toxic, and you can lose a lot of great opportunities because you don't know the difference between judgment and feedback. I hope that helps. Okay, if you want more innovation best practices, all you need to do is go to my website at i2ge.com. That's the letter I, number 2ge.com. On the left-hand side is the DIY Innovation Training Bar. Click on that. A whole bunch of training programs are there. If there's not one that fits your exact needs, just send me an email. I'm glad to tailor one for you. Here's what I'm trying to do with all this. I'm trying to make you innovation self-sufficient so that you don't need to hire expensive consultants like me and others to do it for you. Yeah, you probably want my help in the DIY innovation training, but the cost of that is extremely low compared to the cost of paying an external consultant to do it for you. Okay? Another innovation best practice is one of the 6 books that I've published. That book is Proven Practical Innovation That Delivers Results. It's available only in Amazon and paperback and Kindle, and it's priced below my break-even cost. Hence, it's a great value. If you have suggestions, comments, or requests, I love hearing from listeners. Just send me an email to richard@i2ge.com. I look forward to hearing from you. In the next episode, we're going to go into the pharmaceutical business and the healthcare business and talk about a leading company's prescription for innovation success. And this is all about medical and healthcare innovation. It's got some very interesting twists on it. Not surprisingly, innovation translates differently to different industries and different companies. So there's a lot to learn here, so I hope you tune in. As all of you know, I am deeply, deeply appreciative of you taking time out of your busy day to spend it with me. I look forward to reconnecting with you soon, and until then, please, please have a great day.